The following game has no ESRB rating, nor is there any sort of listing for restrictive content found within the game. From what I've seen so far, it does contain space combat, explosions, ships on fire, and what the game considers strong language, although I don't believe that language is considered cursing in modern day civilization terms, but it's still there, and the meaning, I believe, is readily visible, if not overtly listed as such. That being said, if I were to guess as to what its rating would have been, I would say it would most likely have been rated T for teen by the ESRB. So, given that assumption, and again, it is assumption, so of course, viewer discretion is advised, I recommend anyone under the age of 13 not watch the following video. You have been warned.
Greetings and salutations, I am Outlier and I bid you welcome to this channel. Joining me today is of course my usual co-hosts, Snowball and Wolf. And today we're returning back to Starhammer the Vanguard Prophecy. So the premise of Starhammer the Vanguard Prophecy is that you are a naval strike group commander, commanding a small flotilla of space-based warships, defending your colony homeworld from threats both, I guess, internal and external. The internal threats being a group of renegade pirates and raiders, and I think even former military personnel who have been attacking your planet's military bases for supplies for who knows whatever reason. And then the external threat is a group of aliens known only as the Nautilids. I believe that they are described as being squid-like, mostly because they're referred to as the squids in a I don't want to say derogatory means, but I mean, let's be honest, if it's your most hated enemy, you really probably wouldn't treat them with respect at all or much anyway. But that's a moot point. But anyway, the Nautilids have returned from their decades-long non-contact, because in the past they fought a war against our side, and I'm not entirely certain who won, or if it was just a stalemate, or they just got bored and up and left. But they disappeared, and now they're back. And Starhammer the Vanguard Prophecy has a branching storyline. So, earlier in the campaign, I had the option between investigating the pirates and raiders, or defending the one and only shipyard that our people have against the Nautilid. I opted to defend the shipyard against the Nautilid for a variety of reasons I'm fairly certain I made clear in prior episodes, and I don't fully remember now, so I'm not going to go through them. But I could have gone after the raiders and learned more about them and figured out what makes them tick, but instead I opted to fight more of the Nautilid. And that's how the story has been going so far. For those who haven't seen last episode, the contact that we have between us and Command sent us coordinates for the strike group to go out and explore, believing that that may be the origin point from where the Nautilids are. So we got there, the Nautilids were there, and we fought them, and we managed to win. So I don't know if that's going to end the attacks on the shipyard. I don't think that they actually do, because the next mission involves us returning back to the shipyard, because while we defended both the port and starboard sides of the shipyard from Nautilid attack in over the course of a variety of episodes, everybody forgets that in space it's three-dimensional, which means you don't have two flanks to worry about, you have six. So while we were off fighting the Nautilid on what I would assume to be their home turf, the Nautilids managed to sneak around my strike group and re-attack the shipyard. Now there were other defenders protecting the shipyard while we were away, however the Nautilid apparently managed to slip past even those guys as well, so much so that one of the crew of, I guess, the flagship of the other strike group decided to up and leave and is heading towards us, apparently in a shuttle. And I would assume, I haven't actually played Next Mission yet, but I would assume that we have to rendezvous with the new crewmate, get them aboard, before the Nautilid take them out, and then fight the Nautilid to protect the shipyard once again. But as I said, I haven't actually played that particular mission yet. In fact, it's the focus of this episode, so we get to see what happens. And as such, this game is of course made by... Thank you again. And that being said, let us begin.
So here we are at the main campaign map. There are various articles and things to read to flesh out the story. Mostly, I believe, about the path not traveled. So this is basically involves the pirates and the fact that our character, Valoran Dice, has a father who's part of the Admiralty, a war hero from the First Contact War, which was the original war that fought the Nautilids. Anyway, he's missing now, and since we're protecting DM2, the shipyard right here, we can't go looking for him, and this is the path that this chapter has taken. Well, this is the path that we've taken across the chapter, so we started here. Actually gives me a description about them. And then traveled down this path to get to here, where the bounce is the next mission. And the mission description is flagged as neutral, and it states, and here comes the flare-up from Navset. A significant part of Nautilids has been rebuffed by NSG-5, that's the other strike group, but a secondary wave are re-engaging the Delta Mark while the strike group is out of position clearing up from the first engagement. There's no from there, I really need to read what's there. We need to punch it back to the Delta Mark and relieve the missing patrol group before the shipyard takes any more structural damage. Marcy dismissed, that's the crew member I mentioned before, dismissed herself from duty aboard Luxembourg before the cleanup operation, is waiting to intercept us aboard en route from a civilian shuttle. I'll hand it to her. The deer's got the nerves of a radar ranger. You won't catch me out there on anything less than a fully functional command-grade capital assault ship with armor thicker than my arm span. We better pick her up before you get shot out of the water and clean up the rest of those squids. And the objectives are to pick up Marcy 3 and eliminate all Nautilid forces. I don't know why there's a 3 in her name, but I guess that's just how it goes. So in addition to ships, we also have crew. These are the crew. Currently consists of Valoran Dice, our commander. Haven Jinx, our gunnery sergeant, or gunnery ensign, I guess his actual title is, who's been with us since the very beginning, even though we're only on moderately friendly terms. And then Ludo Derrybridge, the comms officer from the old strike group commander's vessel, which got shot out of the sky very early on during the tutorial. And he's now with us, and he doesn't like us because I guess he thinks we got his old boss killed. Even though we're on very friendly, well, mildly friendly terms with him. So I guess we're actually on better terms with Haven than we are with Ludo. And everybody has various skills that they can partake in and set to either an aggressive or defensive stance, and that affects the various crew bonuses that they give, as well as their friendship status. So if I flag Ludo Derrybridge as an aggressive coward, he instantly becomes mildly hostile with Haven. Whereas if I keep him on the defensive posture, he's mildly friendly. So I prefer to have all of my crew at the very least somewhat friendly towards each other. I still don't know quite if that affects anything, but I figure people who are friendly with each other work better. Even if that's not actually a game mechanic. It may be. Don't quite fully understand the point of this, but it's part of the game, so I try to take advantage of it as much as I can. Currently, the crew bonus when everybody's friendly gives 12% extra engine power to the flagship. So I mentioned that there is a defensive and offensive stance. There is also war scale, which is, I guess, our offensive or defensive stance throughout the whole of the game. Currently it's set to defensive at level 14, which gives various buffs as well. But let us proceed, because there's no other options. And moving on from there, we have access to the fleet formation screen. So this is currently my fleet. It consists of one hammerhead destroyer known as the Peanut Bar, an albatross frigate known as the Pound Cake, a Nemo-class corvette known as the Biscuit, and two Swordfish-class raiders known as the Honey and the Jam. I also have a third Swordfish known as the Butter, but I only have so many command points, which means I can only deploy so many vessels. And of the 6 vessels that I have, I can only deploy 5. So the Butter is currently on reserve and will continue to do so until somebody dies, which hopefully won't be anytime soon. I mean, I managed to keep the entire strike group fully alive throughout the entire campaign so far, and I fully intend to maintain that. But should the worst happen, I do run out of ships, I do have access to reinforcements. Well, at least I would if I ever get enough reinforcement points to actually call in reinforcements. So I can get a variety of different ships, including another Swordfish Raider, another Nemo-class corvette, another Albatross-class frigate, a light cruiser, which I don't actually know the class of because I've never actually gotten one, and that's really about it. So I can't get another destroyer. But I don't have enough reinforcement points available to actually get anything. So, kind of a moot point. I think the reinforcement points are actually decreasing. Could have sworn it was like in the 70s or 80s last time. Of course, I've been thinking that, so I don't know how to get more reinforcements, but that's how it works. Anyway, let's proceed because this formation has been working so far, and I don't see why it should stop now. So, the bounce. Okay, so Hein roll. The shipmaster says, "You're a sight for sore eyes, Dice. Zian Ho's gone MIA on a cleanup mission, and the raiders he left behind are agitating the squids to our aft. Those aren't our raiders, Henry. Keep an eye on them and let Valoran know if they start acting sly." Oh, that's Marcy, the supposedly new crew members. And then Heaven says, "It's them, isn't it? The muckers that attacked us." And then Dairybird says, "What they wanted most was the opportunity to shoot at something. If they couldn't find Valoran out here, some squids are a good second option." Valoran says, "Ugh, here's hoping the squids can do us solid and spare us having to deal with them later. Marcy, you settled in?" "This hammerhead forward thrust detent was my recommendation, Commander. I know where I am." And then we respond with, "Good to have you aboard, Marcy. Let's see how well you can make this tractor dance." End transmission. So I guess we don't actually have to pick up Marcy. She's automatically aboard the vessel. Alright, so if I remember the controls and figure out how to zoom in again, I have opposing my force, looks like 4 disruptors, which are, I guess, support vessels, which can take out my ship shields. At least 1 Guardian. Okay, there's rotate. Which is a larger vessel capable of spewing out acid-based homing missiles, and then what looks like 6 krill? It's actually kind of light, but there are more forces up here. Which include 2 more Guardians and a couple Raiders. So These raiders I can't control and are possibly even part of the pirates. Hopefully they keep fighting each other, or at the very least, keep the Guardians engaged while I take care of the rest. And camera controls are kind of, well, slow, I think. Alright, anyway, and the objective is to defend Delta Mark II, which is the shipyard right here, which, the Nautilids are kind of on top of. So, movement in this game is, well, somewhat turn-based, and by that I mean every side takes turns as to where they're going to move, and then everything plays out in a cinematic type mode. So to move a vessel, I click on, as I've explained pretty much every episode, I click on the silhouette here and move it within this geometric shape. And this is where they move for the entirety of the turn. And since we have to get from here to there, and the Nautilid are in the way, we should probably move the vessels as fast as possible. So I should probably actually boost the engine speed of the frigate, because it's, well, the slowest ship in the strike group, let's be perfectly honest. Although the Corvette isn't really all that far behind. And probably the same for the destroyer as well. And then the swordfish are just, well, fast scout ships, so just have them move forward as well. I won't adjust their engines because they're fast enough, even though at maximum speed the three main vessels are leaving the swordfish behind. But once I get everybody to where I want them to go, I hit show battle and everything plays out. Right, so the Guardians are fighting the two Raiders up here. That's what those green numbers are kind of for. And, it is 6 crew, right? Yeah, it looks like it. Alright, and so since the destroyer is kind of outpacing everybody else, I'm going to dial their engines back slightly. And by slightly, I mean by quite a bit. So I'm going to put it where the weapons are at 32%, shields are at 41%, so they start recharging, and even though battle hasn't started yet. And then their engines will be at 27%, so they will move. So they will move incredibly slower than they even used to be, but it does mean that their shields will start to recharge. So once they start taking damage, which will happen sooner rather than later, their shields will start recharging and we'll have to deal with it later. I'll keep the frigate at maximum thrust because, again, it's the slowest vessel in the group. So it's the only way it can keep up with everybody else. Also, I only have 3 countermeasures left, so I have to use them sparingly. Unless this is the last episode of this chapter. But I thought last mission was going to be the last mission of this chapter, and who knows. But one thing I want to target is, and I should probably actually do this with all of my vessels right now, I want to change the firing mode to target fire, so that way they target a specific vessel. And while the crew are probably going to be annoying, they are not the major threat on the map. The Guardian is, because of its missile capability. So I want every vessel of mine to actually target the Guardian and take it out of play as soon as possible. But angle the biscuit slightly more this way. Also, fairly soon I forgot to turn on firing arcs. So this is what I said. Every ship has various firing arcs that they can use to target and attack things. The biscuit has a forward, because it's the Corvette, has a forward and aft firing arc. The pound cake, because the frigate, has a port and starboard firing arcs, as well as a stun beam to the fore. The swordfish only have forward firing arcs, whereas the destroyer, the pound cake, the peanut bar, has port and starboard firing arcs, as well as a deadly laser beam to the but nothing to the aft. So if somebody gets behind them, they can't fight back from there. Come on. Angle my vessel's a little bit more off to this way. This is everybody, right? I'm not like expecting people behind the ships. Not that I can see. Okay. Zoom so far out that that everything gets displaced. Cool. All right, and now we see what happens. Everybody should be targeting the Guardian. I should point out that while everybody should be targeting the Guardian, they will fire on targets of opportunity. So if these krill get within any weapons arcs for anybody, they will start shooting at the krill, even if I tell them to focus fire on the Guardian directly. Alright, and let's dial back the engines of the Corvette because they're about to, well, start fighting. But I'll keep the frigates up because, again, slow vessel. Angle the swordfish. So where's my other one? Right up here. No, that's the destroyer. Come on. No, you want to. Here we are. Angle it this way. Alright, so these Guardians, I'm not quite certain what exactly happened, but hey, they've managed to, well, kill most of the health on this raider. So I'm guessing they hit it with an acid missile, which would explain the trailing smoke when things take damage. Also, its front shield is completely out, whereas for the other one, its front shield is also completely out. So it may have taken they may have taken multiple missiles already, or at the very least, other types of weapons fire. Right now, those raiders aren't part of my strike group, and while they are helping to fight the Nautilid, they're also not friendly targets, so I don't really care about them. So long as they keep the Guardians busy while I take care of everything else. So let's just keep moving forward. And now the battle has started. Alright, so the shipyard commander says, those raiders aren't lasting long out there, Dice. Are you sure you shouldn't be relieving them? And then Dice says, Ludo, put their broadcast... I'm guessing that says channel. It's hard to read because of the background imagery. Through the yardsman, and then I guess this is the raiders. It says the remnant will arm Novus with fire. These creatures will not quench us, kindred. Prove our strength over the Dice plutocracy. And then the yardmaster is just silent. And Dice says, I think they can handle themselves. To which the yardmaster says, agreed. So it's a case that our enemies are fighting each other, and we're perfectly fine to let them. So I'm going to angle the destroyer a little bit more this way. It means that the Guardian will probably bypass completely the forward arc of, the starboard arc of the destroyer, but it will hopefully stay within the forward arc of the laser. Also, the destroyer, I believe, already killed one krill. So that's always a benefit. And the frigate has also started taking weapons fire, so I'm going to put its shields back up to 41%, and then its engines will be... No, wrong button. Wrong button. I want where the engines are recharging and weapons are at around 33, 34. Close enough, I guess. If you notice, its movement arc is, well, ridiculously slow, so. Frigates aren't there to be speed demons, they're there to show up, take a beating, and dish it back out. Because if you notice, the frigate has probably more shields than the destroyer does. And the destroyer is the flagship. Alright, so somehow the swordfish ended up misaligned, but that happens in battle. So angle everything over to the, towards the Guardian, and we'll just let them tear into each other. Alright, so that alert means somebody got hull damage, and that explosion was, I'm guessing, an acid missile. Because I don't have very many countermeasures left on the frigate, I'm trying to not burn through them as quickly as I used to. I mean, I did that with the Corvette, and now it's out of missiles. Alright, so Hammerhead's now down to 79% hull, and its right shield, has taken a beating. So let's pull from everywhere just to reinforce the right shield. And angle it slightly more this way, so that way we can get the Guardian in its starboard arc, and it's actually severely injured at just shy of half health. So having everybody gang up on it is probably to the my benefit. But I'll pull the swordfish back slightly so that way they don't overshoot the Guardian and basically keep it within its firing arcs. I'll move the pound cake over, we'll have the pound cake rotate this way to hopefully get the Guardian in its starboard arc as well. Alright, and it looks like that at least one Raider's still alive at 96% hull and 81% shields. And the other Raider's still alive as well, and these Guardians are largely fine. There ought to be a faster way to move the camera. But I didn't design the game, so oh well. Anyway, back to our flight. Alright, well, I got good news and bad news. Good news is the Guardian is dead. Died relatively quickly. Bad news is that it died by slamming into the Hammerhead. So when you collide with something, you can't move all of next turn. So the Hammerhead is essentially a, well, fixed turret for next battle, and it's also down to 63% hull. So yeah, its right shields are also almost completely gone. So let's pull again from everywhere else just to reinforce the right shield. And it's now down to just shy of over half of its health. I know there's a way to repair. Oh, okay. So that should repair the hull. I think it takes weapons offline though. But it will hopefully manage to not have the flagship die, because I'm fairly certain you lose the flagship and you lose the mission. But with the largest tactical threat out of the way, let's focus on these disruptors, because they can, well, cause they can affect how shields operate. And by that I mean render them inoperable. So I'll have the biscuit move slightly this way. The frigate will turn this way to hopefully avoid hitting the krill. And I'll leave them on target, firing on whatever is nearby. As I said, I'm fairly certain when they repair the vessel, it takes weapons offline, but if that doesn't happen, let's have them target the disruptor directly in front of them. And I'll have the swordfish basically swoop in. While also targeting the exact same Guardian. But with the Guardian now out of the way, I don't have to worry about acid missiles until, well, the two Guardians up here kill these Raiders. At least I'm assuming that's what's going to happen. I highly doubt the Raiders are going to be able to kill two Guardians. But you never know. Random number generators can be like that. Alright, so the Disruptor did its disruptor thing. And, the Hammerhead is now at 63, well, the Peanut Bar is now at 68% hull. As is suspected, when they start repairing the vessel, the, weapons go offline, so they stop shooting things. Which, in the middle of an active engagement, is probably a bad idea. But the Peanut Bar can move now, so I'm going to have it do a hard turn out of the way of, well, everybody. Going to move the Corvette slightly this way to hopefully keep this Disruptor in its forward arc. As well as move the Swordfish around to hopefully keep tracking it. Because the sooner it dies, the sooner I can focus on other things. And have the Pound Cake swinging back around this way. So I'm only seeing one Raider icon up here, so I'm guessing they may have killed the other one. Yeah, so this one's currently on fire, and I'm not seeing the other Raider, so I'm guessing the Guardians managed to kill it. One of these days I'm going to have the camera controls fully figured out. Alright, so the Peanut Bar is losing all of its shields everywhere. Let's reinforce the right shield because now everybody's technically behind them. Even out the left and right shields while simultaneously keeping the rear shield up. Also angle the Peanut Bar more this way to hopefully keep this Disruptor in its... I guess that's its port arc now. Now I have the Corvette do the Biscuit do a hard turn port side, so that way it doesn't fly into the Disruptor because it's right next to it. And if it flies past it, then it won't be in its forward arc anymore, so might as well acquire a new target. The Biscuit does have an aft arc, so it can still shoot this Disruptor, I should say, even if it's no longer facing towards it. And the Swordfish are on different planes than everything else, so they shouldn't fly into the Guardian. Disruptor... Now, you would think Guardians would actually be the defensive unit, not the offensive unit, but they're not. As I was saying, Swordfish, not fly into the Disruptor. Then have the Frigate just basically fly around and through everybody. and proceed along with its day. Alright, so somebody else got hull damage again. I don't quite know who. I mean, the pound cake seems fine. Peanut bar is still at 68% hull from where it was, although its shields are... well, its shields are its shields. So let's actually pull more power from engines to basically boost shields and weapons. I mean, it'll about move as fast as the frigate, but for right now, I'm just trying to keep it alive. And the biscuit is perfectly fine, so I'll have them keep sweeping in this way. Well, that may hit the disruptor, so I'm actually going to arc it this way. Alright, so the jam took a hit from something. Boost its front shield slightly. Where's my other swordfish? Did I miss one? Did I lose a swordfish without realizing it? That's a crow right there. That's the jam. Where's the honey? Different plan. Cancel orders, change firing mode, ram enemy. Oh, there we are. Okay, so the honey is now down to 40% hull, and it lost its left shield entirely.
And it's being disrupted. Also, it slammed into something, so its navigation is offline. No wonder why I can't find its navigation icon. Or silhouette, I guess it is.
Alright, so since it can't move, I don't know what's going on. Like I said, they can still fight even if they can't move. But I don't quite know what it flew into. There's no, well, carcass of anything. So whatever it flew into is apparently still alive. I'm also only seeing 2 krill left. So I'm guessing everybody else killed all the krill. Let's angle the peanut bar this way to keep this pressure on this disruptor, which is almost dead. Well, at least one raider is still alive up here. Move the pound cake this way. The jam swings back around to, well, fight something, I guess. Probably move the honey away from the fight because it's now at less than half health. And I'll angle the biscuit back up to this way to start trailing this disruptor. Hopefully they can kill this disruptor next turn. Alright, well they didn't kill any disruptors next turn, well this turn. But this disruptor is now down to 7 health, so if I keep it in the weapon arcs, it should eventually die. In fact, I'm going to angle the honey back over this way to hopefully, well, kill it. And then one more krill is, I believe, dead. I'll have the jam swing this way to hopefully trail after this disruptor and start fighting it. The albatross over here. The biscuit over this way. And now we see who dies. Alright, so everybody seems to be focusing on this disruptor as opposed to this one because it's still technically alive, although to be fair, it's probably out of range of everybody. So let's have the peanut bar swing back around this way to hopefully get it back in its arc to kill it off. If not, well, the honey should chase after it and hopefully finish the job. I just want it dead, I don't care how. Or who does it, I should say. And the raider is still alive, fighting now 2 guardians. Well, it's been fighting 2 guardians. It used to have a friend, but that friend either disappeared or died, so... Given how that transmission kind of paints the rebels as religious fanatics, or at the very least, fanatics in general, it probably died. Fanatics, at least in my opinion, don't seem to have a tendency towards A, self-preservation, and B, running. So let's continue. Alright, so Marcy 3 says, good shooting for your crew, Commander. To which Valorant says, I didn't know you could punch the drift on this tractor so much without spinning out. And then Marcy says, first rule of piloting a capital ship. Broadside for offense, broadside for defense, forwards only for running away. If you're coming head on to your mark, you better hope you're a bigger boat than the one you're about to hit. Okay, so that disruptor's now dead, so let's have the peanut bar swing back in to, well, help take care of the others. And this disruptor's actually closest to death next, so let's actually focus our fire. I know we're basically attacking the weakest, I don't know what I wanted that analogy to say. We're basically picking on the weakest ship in the fleet. At least the most damaged one, to be fair. Alright, and that raider's still alive. So I'm going to have everybody target it. And hopefully we can take it out next.
Like I said, they fire on whatever happens to be nearby, but they will, I believe, target the actual target. So this disruptor is now down to 44 health points.
This one's down to 91, and this one's still at 110. So let's shift everything to focus on the primary target, the injured disruptor. And I know I'm ignoring the krill, but
The Krill's major offensive capability is swarm attacks, and that's kind of hard to do when you're the last one standing. Plus, it's down to half health, so I'm assuming once the frigate... once the frigate gets it within its weapons arc and its primary targets in the other weapons arc, it'll start shooting at the Krill. So now we see what happens. Of course, that's the Corvette, not the frigate. That's the frigate up there. Alright, so I think the Corvette actually managed to kill the Krill. I don't see it on the map anymore. I was kind of watching this guy get a beating. So let's keep everything angled here. Now, the nav icon for the destroyer flashed red because if they keep on their standard trajectory, they will collide with this disruptor. So let's angle it slightly off this way. Because I'm fairly certain what did most of the hull damage on the peanut bar was flying into the Guardian or having the Guardian slam into us. There was one mission where something slams into something else. But I'll have the Swordfish do their best to actually stay behind this Guardian. And then I'll have the Frigate and the Corvette swing around. And it looks like that other Raider's still alive, so... still keeping those two Guardians occupied. And this Raider, this Disruptor's now dead, so I'm guessing everybody just starts shooting this thing. This one. Just simply because that's where everybody's weapons arcs are angled. And now both Disruptors are still technically dead, so I won't have everybody target the same Disruptor. But I will have everybody try to keep at least one Disruptor in their firing arcs, well, as much as possible. And since they're practically on top of this other Disruptor, I'll have the Swordfish swing around to target the other one. Otherwise, they'd just be standing still, which is probably a bad idea in these kinds of space battles, where movement is kind of key in avoiding enemy fire. But if I keep having them fly on the same trajectory, they'll just slide past the Disruptor and have to turn around next turn anyway. Alright, now we see who dies. Alright, and the answer is, I think this... yeah, they actually managed to kill this Disruptor. So there's only one Disruptor left. As well as probably the two Guardians, let's be honest. Those guys are probably still alive. Now that's one dead Raider. In fact, I'm not even seeing the other Raider anymore, so I'm guessing this dead Raider was the second Raider that was here, the one that was still alive last turn, and end of last turn, I should say, which is now dead. So these two Guardians are now probably going to be on their way to attack either the strike group or the shipyard or both. If I can find where everybody is. There we are. We should have a mini map. I can just... oh, there's a mini map. Interesting. And by mini map, I mean a full map. Okay. Alright, so I definitely want to take care of these, the remaining Disruptor before the Guardians get within weapons range. So everybody circle around to basically try to pummel this thing to death. Right, and that Guardian is now dead. So all that's left of the two Guard... right, so now this Disruptor, I will eventually learn their names, probably after the game ends. As I was saying, now that that disruptor is dead, all that's left are the two guardians that were fighting the other raiders. And since they're still relatively far out, I'm going to have them continue repairing the peanut bar, as well as max out the front shield. I'm also going to have the swordfish swing around and actually put all their power to shields, just so that way their shields get recharged to maximum. So have them swing around, so that way they're facing where the Guardian's going to be coming from. And the frigate's perfectly fine, so let's actually put more power, max out his power to the engines and have it do a hard turn, just so that we can get up in front, because it A has the most shields and B has the highest current shields, which basically means that they haven't taken any damage so far. Same with the biscuit, we'll just have them swing back around this way. Alright, so since while I don't seem to have the ability to repair the swordfish, at the very least I'm going to try to do is make some of their shields get back to full. Because the two Guardians are now inbound. So I have the Biscuit's power set to full engines just so that way they can catch up to the rest of the fleet. The shields on the Swordfish are now at full capacity, so let's just shove this back the way I was trying to get it. And the Guardian's getting relatively close, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire off one of my my frigate's last countermeasures and try to get it in place right in front of where my destroyer is going to be. Because I'm assuming the Guardians are going to be launching acid missiles soon. So let's go do that. So the destroyer is now at 92% hull. So next turn they should hopefully be finished repairs. I don't know if I have to manually switch them back off to a weapon control or they do it automatically. But in about 2 turns or so, this Guardian's probably going to be in weapons range, so there's that. Alright, and the Guardian is now within weapons range anyway. And the peanut bar is now at full health, so let's angle it slightly this way. Have it focus fire on the closest Guardian. Pound cake moves off in this direction. And again, and I'm going to have everybody focus. Remember, hit the right button. I'm going to have everybody focus on the closer Guardian, just so that way it gets out of play sooner rather than later. Right, and it did actually fire off an antimatter missile, but the countermeasure managed to take care of it. I don't know if the other one fired off the same missile. I could have sworn I only saw one. But the countermeasures protected my vessel, and this vessel is now down to 106 out of 200 health points. So I'm going to angle the pound cake this way to hopefully get at least one Guardian in its... No, that'll fly into an asteroid. Into one of its port arcs. Angle the peanut bar around to do basically the same. Then I'll have the jam and the honey swing back around this way to hopefully take out this, help take out this Guardian. And same with the biscuit. So this Guardian apparently was running away very quickly, but they basically managed to hit it with everything that they got, and it's now down to 36 health points, whereas the other one's down to 161. So I'm going to keep on the pressure and just try to angle everybody so that way the targeted Guardian stays within the weapon arcs of, well, everybody. I know I'm essentially ignoring the other Guardian, but no, it's probably best to take out one sooner rather than later, because if it takes 4 turns to kill everything, it's probably going to be more problematic if it takes 4 turns to kill both, as opposed to killing one in 2 turns and then the other in 2 turns, just so that way there's less time that there's 2 enemies. There's that. And as I said, they'll still keep firing on the other one. Alright, so this Guardian is now dead. And they actually managed to take out both of them in the same turn. So, Haven states, all marks clear, Commander. And Valorant says, and Zhao, what's NSG's 5 status? To which Derrybridge says, cleanup is complete. Should be back on the Delta Mark in a matter of clicks. And then he says, Command wants NSG-5 to maintain a defensive roster here. We're leaving DM2 airspace if you want to say your goodbyes. And then Marcy says, Henrik, tell Zhao to light the squids up for me. And then Heinrich, the shipyard shipmaster, says, will do, Marcy. Do me a favor. Keep an eye on the Dice Younger. We'll go catch up for drinks once this has blown over. And that's everything. So the peanut bar took 88 points of shield loss, and 59% shield loss, and repaired 44 points, but had no hull damage because it repaired it all. Killed one thing, just one Guardian, and did 346 damage. Whereas the Pound Cake killed 3 things, including one Guardian. Took no hull damage, lost only 14% shields, and did 186 hull points of damage. What happens when you basically leave the frigate alone with all the krill and expect it to kill everything? It does. The Biscuit killed 5 things, so it probably took out most of the krill, actually. As well as probably multiple disruptors. They lost only 11 shields, no hull, and did 348 damage. The Honey managed to get in 3 kills, including 1 disruptor. Lost 21 points of hull damage, 35% shields. I really need to read what's there, which amounts to about half of its shields, and did 168 points of damage. And then the Jam did no kills. It only lost about 6%, 6 shields, which equates to 9% of its shields. Had 8 points of hull damage, but managed to take deal 200 damage. So while it didn't kill anything, it probably basically wailed on everything, so that way other guys can kill it. But you know what? I don't keep track of who kills what, other than reading off this screen. And victories are team-based, so when somebody wins, the entire strike group wins, and when somebody loses, well, the entire strike group is probably dead, so it doesn't matter. And this mission, while it being flagged as neutral, netted me a war scale of aggressive of 5.9, which I think affects the global war scale, which was, I think, defensive at 14, so I think it's going down by almost 6 points. But it took 25 turns and about 48 minutes. So new flagship crew member, Marcy 3. So we'll go to crew skills. Marcy is... and not assign more crew members. I don't actually have another crew member slot for Marcy. And actually, it's a new chapter, so yeah, as I said, I lost about 6 points of war skill, so war skill is now still flagged as defensive, but 8 as opposed to 14. But I now have the choice between 2 different chapters, so that was the end of the prior chapter, which means all of my expendables will be re-equipped. My frigate will get its countermeasures back, my corvette will get its missiles back, and we move on to something else. So my choices are Underside, which requires an aggressive war scale of aggressive 1, which I don't have, or a Matter of Acquisition, which requires a war scale of not acquisible. So I'm guessing if I have an offensive war scale, I could actually I could actually do the Underside, which I can't even click on to see what it's about, or I can do a Matter of Acquisition, where a Matter of Acquisition. Yesterday, Haven accused me of falling up the ladder. It seems Command is committed to proving her right. Wait, Haven's a girl? I thought Haven Jinx was a guy. Anyway, no sooner had we docked in at DM2 We had fresh nav points from AK. He's the Comet, the guy that sits back at HQ and basically relays orders from the Admiralty to us. And orders to relocate to the bridge of a recently refurbished Triton battlecruiser. I wish I were more excited about this. The ship itself is fine, if a little banged up, but I have Marcy in one ear complaining about being behind the wheel of a heavy cruiser again so soon, and Ludo in the other making his very specific point of not recognizing my captaincy as the legitimate flotilla captain like his pa. And then there's the reason why Command is giving me this Hulk in the first place. While I've been busy cleaning up things on the home front, someone in the Admiralty thought it might be a good idea to send some Rangers out to scout out how many Nautilids are still left floating around out there. We still don't actually know because none of the Rangers have reported back since deploying 3 days ago. Command is now assuming the worst and needs someone, that is, me, to go out and check if any of the Rangers have managed to leave any data in a Dropbox before being sunk. Go out, grab the data on the Nautilid, get back before whatever sunk the Rangers sinks us as well. What's there to be excited about again? We get a shiny new ship with shiny new skills. And by shiny new, I mean probably old as heck and beat up, but still alive and kicking. So there's that. And as I said, I can't even click on the underside, so I don't even know what that's about. But the storyline moves on and continues, and all that fun stuff that goes with it. So we get to see what happens next, but it will have to wait until next time, because I'm going to call it here. Everybody stay safe from the plague, and have a good day.